She slapped a black man in open court without knowing he was the presiding judge. Not a whisper of apology followed, not even an ounce of hesitation. But as her palm fell and silence rose, the world began to tilt. The man did not react in rage. He didn't flinch, didn't shout. He simply looked her in the eye, and with that single, measured gaze, everything started to unravel. What happens when someone convinced of their authority strikes a man who holds all the power, not in his voice, but in his restraint? It began in Courtroom 2B at Fairview County Courthouse, a place where routine hearings passed unnoticed through the creaky rhythm of local justice. The bailiff sipped coffee from a stained mug. A young public defender sifted through files she could barely keep organized. A teenage boy, barely 17, waited nervously at the defense table, caught on a possession charge. It was all familiar, all expected, until Officer Rachel Kearns entered the room. In uniform, pristine and pressed, she moved with the entitled authority of someone used to not being questioned. She didn't nod at the clerk, didn't glance toward the bench. She scanned the room like she was walking into a briefing, not a courtroom. Her eyes locked on a tall black man standing beside the witness box, speaking quietly with one of the attorneys. There was no threat in him, only calm, practiced professionalism. But Rachel's jaw set hard. 5 strides. No hesitation. She slapped him. The crack echoed like thunder through the solemn space. Pins dropped. Mouths fell open. Someone gasped audibly in the back row. The man didn't move. He adjusted his tie, then turned, composed as steel. "My name is Judge Elijah Mercer," he said, "and I'll be presiding over this courtroom today." Time stopped. Air thickened. Rachel's confidence drained before she could catch it. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. She looked around for Simeonianito, back her up. No one moved. The bailiff stared at the floor. The clerk refused to look at her. The public defender reached quietly for her phone. A second later, 3 more followed. For phones. 4 angles. All recording. Judge Mercer didn't call for security. He didn't throw his title around. He didn't need to. "We'll take a 10-minute recess," he said, voice level, and walked calmly toward his chambers. The slap hadn't left a mark on his face, but it had scorched something deeper in the room, something no one could put back. Rachel Kearns stood frozen, her hand twitching slightly, not out of fear, out of recognition. For the first time in her career, no one moved to protect her. The teenage defendant didn't say a word, but the way he looked at her, that quiet, knowing stare cut deeper than any protest could. You could almost hear it. This changes everything. By the time Judge Mercer's chamber's door clicked shut, the video was already uploading. The footage hit social media before the hallway even cleared. A white officer, a black man in a suit, a slap, and then the reveal. That's the judge. It spread like wildfire. Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. Within 30 minutes, it had a name. She slapped the judge. And the comments poured in. She didn't see a threat. She saw a black man and assumed guilt. That wasn't a mistake. That was training. Tell me again how this isn't systemic. In her office upstairs, Rachel sat alone, still in uniform, staring at the blank wall ahead of her. Her phone buzzed. 6 missed calls. Her union rep. The precinct. 2 unknown numbers. She didn't answer. Outside the courthouse, the world kept spinning. Inside, the walls trembled with something they hadn't known in years. Accountability. Back in his chambers, Judge Mercer sat silently behind his desk. No movement. No phone in his hand. Just stillness. A soft knock. His clerk, Alicia Daniels, stepped inside with a manila folder in hand. She didn't speak at first. Just waited. "You all right?" she asked gently. He looked up. "I'm fine. We need to file something," she said. "Press charges. The video's everywhere." He nodded. "We could." Alicia's brow furrowed. "You mean, we won't?" "I want to see if the system does what it claims to do," he said. "If it'll act when no one's screaming. If it'll hold itself accountable when the cameras aren't rolling." Alicia crossed her arms. "That's a gamble." He nodded again. "It always is." In the precinct, the phones were ringing off the hook. Media outlets, civil rights lawyers, internal affairs. Officers paced the hallways, whispering in corners, side-eyeing each other with something close to dread. Rachel Currens had once been a rising star, fast-tracked out of the academy, poster child for tough policing. But behind her shine, there were shadows, complaints that disappeared. A kid slammed during a traffic stop. A mother pulled from her car for no reason in front of her children. A student tackled in a mall. The department had always closed ranks. Until now, Eli Hammond remembered her well. Retired now, but once her partner on night shifts in West Precinct. He saw the video over breakfast. His spoon hovered above his oatmeal as he whispered to no one. She finally did it, and this time, everyone saw. Within hours, internal documents started to leak. Past reports, sealed investigations, suppressed body cam footage. What had been hidden for years came crawling into daylight. Rachel tried to respond. She called into a local radio show, claimed she'd felt threatened, claimed the man hadn't identified himself. But the video told a different story. There was no threat, just her assumption, just her hand, just the impact, and then silence. She lost her badge days later, not with ceremony, not with confrontation, just a printed memo delivered to her locker. She gathered her things, walked out a side door, and drove home in a borrowed sedan. No uniform, no send-off, just an exit. The hearing came next. Not a trial, a public review, a reckoning, held in the town assembly hall, packed wall to wall with residents, journalists, lawyers, and former victims who had waited years to be believed. At the center, a panel of 7. Retired judges, community leaders, legal experts, and witness after witness came forward. A man wrongfully jailed for 8 years. A college student who'd been slammed on the hood of his car. A mother whose daughter was mistaken for a shoplifter. Each one told their story. Each one pointed back to Rachel. Then Judge Elijah Mercer stood. He didn't read from notes. He didn't raise his voice. "I'm not here to destroy anyone," he said. "I'm here because the truth matters more than the noise around it." He looked straight at Rachel. "You didn't strike me because I threatened you. You struck me because you couldn't see me. And that's the problem." His voice didn't rise, but the room held its breath. Justice is not vengeance. It's not fear. It's not dominance. It's restraint. It's truth. It's the space we create when we decide not to be what the world expects of us, but to be what it needs. Silence. And in that silence, Rachel's posture cracked. Not visibly, not loudly, but enough. The panel recessed. The decision was unanimous. Immediate termination. Pension suspended pending further review. No handcuffs. Not yet. But the legacy, the name, the protection gone. The world moved on quickly. Another scandal in another city. Another video. Another hashtag. But in Fairview County, something had shifted. Not with noise. Not with riots. With a pause. With a room that listened. And with one man who chose to wait, not to protect his ego, but to see if a system long shielded by silence would finally speak for itself. When asked later why he didn't press charges, Judge Mercer said only this: "I didn't need the story to end with punishment. I needed it to begin with recognition." And that finally had begun.